Blue Lock. This is a show that defines hype, intensity, and tension. It heightens emotions, and it takes a new approach to what we already know. Haikyuu, Kuroko no Basket, Ahiru no Sora, and Ippo are all amazing in their own right, but they're all tame shows compared to the intensity that Blue Lock brings. Now this is a show that makes you want to be a winner, but I guess I should ask, what makes Blue Lock so damn good? It's an interesting view on the sports genre. It has amazing characters, phenomenal art, hype, unintentional comedy, intensity, ambition. It's a lot. And it's why I think the most ingenious part about Blue Lock is its novelty. Yeah, more so than the orgasmic visuals, edgy characters, intense moments, it just spits pure, unadulterated hype. Though it can't be that simple, right? Before I read it, I heard about how edgy it was and that it was one of the best football manga, but holy shit, I wasn't ready for this. And one thing I noticed immediately was that it would not be fair to this show and other amazing sports anime to try and compare them. Now we see the story through Isagi Yoichi at a time where Japan, after losing in the World Cup, decided to hire a crazy ass coach, Ego Jinpachi, to put in motion a training regimen designed to create the world's greatest striker. Now if you get kicked out of Blue Lock, you can never play for the national team. It's a crazy premise that Isagi only considered because his teammate was so bad.
That shit was not my fault. Y'all are trash.
This story is not about national level high school tournaments, nor is it a kid's dream. It's a regimen that's designed to show the most dedicated up and comers, and there's 300 of them, for now. All these young players are essentially locked up in a facility and are set up to battle against each other to see who will stand atop the pile of corpses. It's the survival of the fittest approach. Part of the reason why we love Hunger Games or Battle Royale type stories so much is because only those moments does a person's true inner self show up. Which makes sense, right? I mean, when your entire career can be decided within less than 2 minutes, you don't have the luxury to play nice. Or at least that's how the story starts. The story doesn't romanticize all the themes we're used to in sports stories like teamwork, cooperation, and development over various trials, but it isn't completely devoid of them either. There's definitely an innate sense of camaraderie that also exists in Blue Lock. Those who are strong recognize the strong, and strong people thrive together. The characters simply learn to embrace their true nature instead of trying to suppress it. And as we go deeper in the story though, we're shown that being a striker does not mean you're someone who just clings to the ball and disregards your teammates. In fact, any team is stronger when people know their individual weapons and form a team based off what each person is good at. Barou is a character that was used as a scapegoat to hammer this point in because despite his skill, his attitude was actively harming the team. A striker is not one who's selfish, but someone who knows how to interact with the players and the field to get what he wants. In the end, he will be selfish, but only in his desires. And this is also something that is shown in effect through the protagonist Isagi Yoichi. As the guy we see the show through, there are many reasons that make him likable. I personally appreciate that it wasn't a story of him being a crybaby like that first moment showed. However, through that, we see that in a sea of passionate people, his drive and determination to be the best stands out. It's perfectly normal to cry out of frustration because you know you deserve better. But since joining Blue Lock, he's become someone who essentially sees people who don't motivate him as fodder. He might share his food with you off the pitch, but once a ball is in play, he's a completely different monster. Like I said, he's not a selfish person, and his playstyle seems to be that of a playmaker, the one who controls the field. His actions convey commands and his passes tell you what he wants you to do. The duality of Isagi makes every moment he's involved in a million times better. You always see the gears turning in his head when he's figuring stuff out, and you also see puzzle pieces being put in place when all his experiences are coming together. But despite how intriguing he is, the show wouldn't be good if he was the only compelling one. There's so many other insane characters in this manga. There's Chigiri the Flash, Barou the Inferiority Complex King, Nagi the Unpolished Gem, Rin the Too Cool, and a lot of other guys that may come in the next season, but they're all able to shine whether it's the last game or not. Each person joined Blue Lock for a reason, no matter how shallow or outlandish, and they believed in their goals to the point that they were willing to cripple their futures for it. Chigiri is quite literally risking his future even outside of football, but the situation they're in pushes them all to never give up. Now I've seen people talk about how insane the story is, but I think it's normal for football players to have specializations. Also, one of the main reasons we love the mediums of anime and manga is because everything has to be 100% more intense. What I don't agree with is people trying to power scale sports anime. What even is this? Now, as far as specializations go, Bachira is quite literally the embodiment of Messi in this show and most Brazilian players with his footwork. Isagi is like Xavi or Iniesta with his spatial awareness, and Ring could be anyone, but I just want him to be Ronaldo. These guys are all doing crazy shit, but I think it's all elevated by the art in the manga. The art is intense, and the dialogue that goes with that captivating art is what leads to the edginess that it supposedly has. The way characters are shown with focus and aura when they're figuring something out about themselves or when they're about to score after some 2000 high IQ play is insane. And there's so many panels that just use power and this sort of darkness that I assume represents ego, and you're able to feel like, damn,
what did he do to make them niggas that mad?
The art has also been translated very well into the anime, but I do have to say that the manga may be the better version for me because it's not limited by the skills of the animators or CG, because Yusuke Nomura's art is just simply godlike. Every time the ball leaves someone's foot, you can practically see it moving the way it's drawn, or with the way the intensity is shown with some panels. It makes it feel like the players are angry enough to escape. But like, let's just go through some of my favorite panels a bit because they're so good that I sometimes forget this is a football manga. Like this one.
I'm like, what did he say fuck me for?
This panel of Nagi is so simple yet is able to show exactly what he's feeling. The genius is finally put in a position where he has to try and finally needs to acknowledge his opponents. This one was just animated, but even with motion, it didn't depict as much symbolism as much as this one image did. And not only does this look like when Luffy punched the celestial dragon, it was a moment that I really wanted to see. Kuon deserved every bit of it. Now all these other ones are just able to make you feel so excited for what's about to happen. It's not as dark, but I swear sometimes it feels like I'm reading Tokyo Ghoul. You don't get as much of that in the anime form, but it's still pretty good. A common misconception when it comes to manga is that the author is responsible for the art, which is usually the case, but not always. Blue Lock in itself is a story by Muneyuki Kaneshiro. However, it's illustrated by Yusuke Nomura. The man used to be an assistant to Hajime Isayama and Ahiru no Sora's Hinata Takeshi. He then went on to have assistants like Endo Tatsuya, the creator of Spy Family. Now even with godlike art and animation, this show isn't perfect with how the formula of events becomes or with some neglection of characters early on, but it's not bad enough to be a detriment. I strongly believe that anyone who likes this show likes it all things considered, and so do I. It's a different kind of sports show in its own right, and despite the initial premise that we were introduced to, there are a lot of themes about teamwork, perseverance, ambition, and personal growth. And it's also a story with characters that you end up getting super invested in despite how unhinged they may be. I can't really blame them though, because we all want to be the best. If you're not willing to risk everything to be the best, do you truly desire it?